I'm Zenia. Please excuse the mess, it's actually what's inspired this video. When I first started trying to get a special edition of the Ghost of Midormere made, I knew exactly what I wanted. Gold foiling, a book ribbon, dust jacket, printed end pages, and of course sprayed edges. The full package. So I started Googling. I found a lot of companies that would do most or all of what I wanted, and they do it in small manufacturing runs as well. The problem with these manufacturers that I found was that the pricing was such that I would have to charge the reader an amount that I wasn't comfortable with. So I kept looking. Eventually, I came across a company called bookprintingfactory.com. The website looked good, but I was a little nervous because I couldn't find any reviews for them. I couldn't find anything except an offhand mention in a Blue Sky post. That was it. This company also goes by Sese Printing, and they are from overseas. So I was a little nervous to spend thousands of dollars with them with no third-party references, reviews, nothing like that I could find. And since I couldn't find much when I was looking, I wanted to make a review when I had finished the process and I had my books in hand so that people who are where I was could have some more information to make the best decision for them. I'll also include some pointers and tips that I would carry forward from this experience as well. So first things first, I want to give a big thank you to Emily, who was my service rep at Sese Printing. She was incredible, super polite, super nice, very patient with me, and generally was just a gem throughout the entire process. I was really impressed that anytime I had a comment or a concern about anything visual, she would actually go to the manufacturing floor and take pictures or videos for me so that I could understand exactly what I was getting. It really minimized any miscommunications we could have, and it gave me a lot of peace of mind. She pretty much always responded in 24 hours or less, and they were pretty accurate to the timeline they gave me when we originally started communicating. When it was time to bill, they invoiced me exactly what they quoted. There was no hidden costs, no surprises. They included duties, taxes, shipping, anything that could have jumped out and been a bit of a shock, they handled. The only exception was the wire transfer fee, which was $30 for the deposit and $30 for the final payment. The wire transfers themselves ended up being a little bit tricky just because the addresses in the country that Sese is in don't really line up with how we in Canada do our addresses, and trying to get them in the system was a bit odd, but that's no fault of theirs. That's just what happens when you work internationally. And we did get it sorted. They got the money, I got the books, it was all good and fine. While the boxes did get briefly waylaid by the shipping company, they did make it to me in what I considered very acceptable time, and they were really well packed and in impeccable shape. I mean, just look at it. It's perfect. All in all, I had a great experience with Sese, and I will be using them again if I am lucky enough to be able to print more special editions. But there are a few notes I'd like to make just if you're going on this experience, honestly, with Sese or any overseas company or any large manufacturer, any big purchase. I did work briefly in purchasing for a company, so I feel qualified to give these tips. Number 1, be specific about what you want. Don't leave room for miscommunication, don't leave room for assumptions. Do your research, figure out exactly what you want, and ask for that. If they come back and say, no, we can't do that, then ask for, okay, what's the closest you can provide, and see if that's acceptable to you. If this is your first book, firstly, congratulations. And secondly, here are some things that you might want to consider and keep in mind when you're trying to figure out what to ask for. Cover size and material, page count and paper type, whether you want it glossy or matte, any extras like book ribbons, sprayed edges, dust jackets, or printed end pages. There can be a lot of jargon in this process, and I'll raise my hand and say I don't understand all of it, but just so that you have a reference point, I'm going to put on screen now what I went with in the end, what all the specs we used for my book was. It might not work perfectly for you, but it'll give you a jumping off point to start looking into and start researching which terms were used and things like that, so when you show up to the conversation, you know what you're talking about. Tip number 2. If you're going to get a dust jacket or printed end pages, remember to budget for the art costs. I had my cover, my lovely front, spine, and back, but I did not remember that I would need to pay for additional art for the insides of each flap from my artist, so that it matched my cover theme, and of course for the beautiful end pages as well. This wasn't a huge expense, but if your budget's tight, you should really make sure that you've accounted for it. I do recommend working with whoever made your cover so that the style can match, and also to get the highest resolution file you can possibly get. A lower resolution file will mean a blurry cover. In my experience, Sese Printing were really good about telling me, hey, you need this higher resolution. Hey, this isn't working in our template. Hey, change this, change that. They were really good about telling me exactly what I needed to do to make my cover work. Don't do this last minute. Tip number 3. For manufacturing anything from scratch, you can be looking at really long lead times. I believe from the date they got payment of deposit to the date they were ready to ship, I think we were looking at it was like 20 to 40 days. Like it was, around a month. Plus you've got shipping times. You need to leave contingency in case anything goes wrong. So be sure when you're getting your quote to ask, hey, what's the lead time? Like once I get you your money, what are we looking at? Be aware if you're building a Kickstarter or announcing your timelines to people that the amount of time to get your files just right and everything from quote to deposit actually does take quite a bit of time. So leave buffer for that. And then also leave weeks to even a month of contingency on the other side, just in case anything goes sideways. My process was really smooth, but you never know. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver to your readers than the other way around. 4. Pricing. For the best prices on just about anything, you need to buy in volume. And that's exactly the same with books. To get these quite reasonably priced books, I had to buy 500 minimum. Minimum order was 500. I could get lower rates if I was willing to buy 1,000 or 1,500. That was totally out of budget for me, so I went with 500. Now that being said, even at the lowest cost per book I could find, this still was thousands of dollars. If you don't have much capital to throw at something like that, you can try doing something like a Kickstarter, but be aware that unless you already have a sizable following, it's really hard to drum up financial support for a project, especially if it's a debut novel. I recommend saving up, trying to cover as much of it as you can, and doing a Kickstarter for whatever you're not able to cover, or even just trying to get some of your money back. That won't be feasible for everyone, but I have seen very few Kickstarters succeed for books if they are for $4,000 or $5,000. Personally, I set a goal that was 1/9 of what my book cost me all in, with the intention that I would hit that goal quickly, and then I could say, hey, backed in just, in my case, 36 hours. We're 300% of our goal as a marketing piece. But I was extremely blessed and lucky. I'd been saving up for a decade to be able to afford my special editions, and I could put my order in very comfortably knowing that I was covered. If you don't have the capital and saving up's not really an option for you, then you'll want to stick with fulfillment services like Kindle Direct Publishing that print books for you as your orders come in. You won't be able to do a lot of the special edition things, but keep at it, persevere. If your books take off, then perhaps you'll have enough backing that a Kickstarter or something becomes a more viable option, and you'll be able to get your special editions. Number 5. I know a lot of us are out here rocking the introversion and the social anxiety, but you really need to put that aside when it comes to your book. Trust me, as someone who's been a customer service rep coordinating large customer orders for another industry, the customer service rep wants your questions. They want to know what your concerns are. They want to make sure they're giving you what you want. It saves everybody headache and heartache later on in the process. Most questions, even if they seem silly, are quick and easy for a rep to answer. They're being paid to do it. Just ask. Better to send that email now than to be unhappy later. And my 6th and final tip is to ensure that your quote and your invoice are in the currency you're expecting. If you're working with international companies, they'll usually either quote in their local currency or in US dollars. If you're not in the US, you might want it quoted in your local currency, and a lot of companies will do that for you. If they won't do it for you, just confirm what currency the invoice is in so that you can do the conversion and make sure that you're paying what you are expecting to pay. There's one thing you don't want, it's surprises. So to wrap up, I had a great experience with Sese Printing or bookprintingfactory.com, and I would recommend them. If you're just starting your author journey, then I wish you the best. Good luck and happy writing.